Hi, welcome to Astropod_cast. We are in a pod together with astrology. How's everyone doing today? I am Jody Shirami, and this is my weekly astrology report coming from Studio Cloud 9. I tried to go outside today for a little bit extra sunlight, but it's already so humid. It's better to stay inside. So today is Friday the 27th, and we last left with the new moon last week, which was humongously beneficial to all of us. We are in a great space personally because the moon again rules over our inside emotions and rules over the collective emotions wherever it may be. And today the moon is in Leo. And also Mercury yesterday moved into Leo. So with Mercury in Leo, which is my Mercury, a little bit further degrees than this. But Mercury in Leo will say what it has to say. It will not be shy about it. And not everyone can handle this point blank honesty. So be very careful this day and tomorrow before the moon moves into Virgo, I believe on Sunday, Monday. There's going to be a lot of things being said today out in the open. And if you didn't know, the other day, the President of the United States said the F word. We are seeing some emotional tirades from the president right now because he is in a situation where his chart, his Mars chart, meets up with Israel's Mars chart, according to some of the astrologers I have been watching. So again, this is a very volatile time, even though it's good in terms of for family, concentrating on family, our home, things like that, it's all good. But in terms of worldwide stuff happening, it's not good because again, Pluto's in Aquarius, and Pluto is the change maker where everything absolutely dissolves and does not come back. It is gone. And Pluto right now is retrograde in Aquarius. It's at 2 degrees. It's moved back a whole degrees already. So with the Leo moon coming in here later on today in the afternoon, as soon as it hits and enters Leo, as soon as the moon enters Leo at around 3 p.m. Eastern Time, it's going to conjunct Mercury in Leo. And this energy is going to be even more ramped up of what we need to say with Mercury in Leo. With the moon in Leo, we're going to be much more emotional about what we're saying and whatever we've been holding back. And again, if you remember, Mars went back and forth between Cancer and Leo for about 8 months. So whatever is coming out emotionally or verbally is something we've been thinking about or dealing with our energy. And Mars has now moved on to Virgo. So we'll be projecting this out into the world because again, Virgo will be the second house of Leo. So here we're dealing with money, your job, things that you focus on in terms of your identity with respect to how you earn your money. So a lot of things can be happening in the world at work, as we can see with the president at work. While you're at work, things can be coming out that maybe you don't want to come out, but it's already coming out. But energy is still in Cancer with Jupiter and the sun here. And so this energy is a positive energy in Cancer that's helping us deal with some of these emotions. Hopefully, you're dealing with your emotions in a good way, projecting it out into the world. Also, as Mercury is in Leo, it is going to be trining Saturn in Aries today. And that's a nice little trine in terms of, again, be careful what you say, and whatever you're saying is going to need to be structured in a helpful, mindful way, because again, Saturn is about, especially in Aries, is about saying things in a forceful kind of manner. With Mercury here, it's going to be even more obvious if it's your ego that's involved because of Aries. So really, with Saturn and Aries and Mercury, it could be some explosive conversations. It could be things that are happening that we really can't control. And so we really have to be careful today. On Saturday, June 28th, Mercury will then trine Neptune, who's a few degrees ahead of Saturn. And so here we're definitely going to say what we must say. Because Neptune and Saturn, again, are the outer planets that are very powerful, that shape generations. And so here we're going to need to say things in a generational manner in terms of what I'm saying, as Neptune is ruling my moon. These are things that we want to say, that we want to help others with, especially with Saturn here. It's kind of a didactic type of language where everything you're saying is kind of trying to help others. So then on the 29th, the moon will enter Virgo and have a meeting very late that night with Mars in Virgo. So now the moon is going to also sextile Jupiter before meeting Mars in Virgo. And so the Jupiter in Cancer is giving us some optimism before we meet up with Mars. The moon in Virgo meeting up with Mars in Virgo. Here our emotions will be very down to earth and practical, but it's also mutable. Virgo's a mutable earth sign. So what we're feeling and what our actions are going to be more down to earth, more practical. And you can use this energy to really do things around your house, because with the Cancer Sun, you might be rehabbing, you might want to buy more furniture, new furniture, you might want to sell your old furniture. You might want to do all these things during this time because your emotions and your actions are going to be meeting up in Virgo. And again, it's not a bad aspect, it's just that whenever your emotions are involved with your actions, it could get out of control. Again, with all this happening and the powers that be, the bigger planets, Saturn, Neptune, all these having meetings, and Pluto, and it's all getting very volatile in terms of emotions. You know, are going to be a little bit steady in Virgo, but you could also be a little bit too critical. You could be picking on people. You could be picking on things with your actions. You could start a war. You could feel that people aren't living up to who they're supposed to be, and you could be criticizing them by saying that they're effing idiots. So these are things that could be happening globally, collectively, out into the world. So it's really the Jupiter in Cancer is enhancing protecting our world, protecting our homes, protecting our family. So a lot of these things can be coming out through our emotional actions in Virgo, where again we could be too critical, we could be too protective, and not allowing our children to live the life they want. So all these things can be happening, plus with fear. Fear is huge right now with Pluto and Aquarius. The fear of the masses revolting, the fear of now with Mercury in Leo, the fear of the oligarchy, the powers that be getting out of control with the emotions of the Virgo and the Mars of the Virgo, where we could be pulling back instead of expressing our joy and love, which is Jupiter in Cancer. We could instead do the opposite of what we should do, which is nurturing our space, our home. So having wars that are outside of America would be a war outside of our home. So we're trying to protect our home in some way, right? But we're not being attacked except for from within. Then now we're dealing with that whole Leo, Mercury, and as the sun prepares to move into Leo on July 21st, 22nd, we're going to be struggling here with what it is we're trying to protect, and we could be confused. Again, we talked about this last week. You could be confused about what it actually you're protecting. So there's a lot of emotional turmoil as we near the end of June. And June has gone by very quickly. I just realized that the new moon was just this past week, and then 3 weeks ago was the full moon in Sagittarius. And a lot of things, a lot of happiness came with that. I have a son with Sagittarius moon, and a lot of good news came in for him that day, and then the next day, and then the next day. So, and it's a good thing because there's a lot of giving from the universe, but there's the human part that can't always understand their unconscious mind and why they do what they do. A lot of people resist that, and a lot of people are, not believing in astrology, and then a lot of people are believing in astrology, especially the combination of the seismic activity out in the universe really correlating perfectly with astrology. And so astrology is a science, whereas a lot of people say it's not, but I see it as a science. That's why I call myself an astrologist, like a scientist. And I collect data, and I listen to other people's point of view, and then my intuition kicks in from what I know personally happening in the world, and the people that I know, and the people that are surrounding me, and the energy that I receive through intuition, through sleep, through dreams, through being out in the world and just soaking up energy. So empathically, I get all this information and turn it into my podcast. And a lot of what I'm believing, like I've said before, for the past 20 years is now coming true. I felt it a long time ago, and now it is here, and it is true. And the first time this president went in 2016, I saw what was happening, and a lot of stuff being said back then was really crazy. And the craziness continues because the majority of the people that vote in America are really baby boomers. And the baby boomers were born with Pluto in Leo, as the current president is. And we can see how that Leo and Pluto is really giving a lot of power to the Leo people. But it's also, if you have Leo placements in your chart and born with Pluto and Leo, is now Pluto is the opposite of Leo. So a lot of the Leo things that they are with Pluto and Leo, they could lean into the Aquarius opposite side and basically become very famous, as the current president is. And now with the Pluto and Aquarius, now we're looking at Leo people and leaning into that energy. And with that energy comes a lot of power right now, especially. So everything happens for a reason, and trust in the guidance of the universe in terms of no one's getting away with anything. Everything's happening for a reason, and it's all karmic, mostly karmic energy. That's unconscious energy, and a lot of people haven't come out of their unconscious energy where they're still feeling victimized by their parents, their siblings, because again, the sun's in Cancer, so that's what we're focused on. Blaming their extended family. And America is kind of your family right now with Sun in Cancer. So there's a lot of blame going on, a lot of people lashing out. So you have to really be protective of your energy, especially if you're empathic. Intuitiveness also helps, but intuition, sometimes people don't trust that because you have to trust your gut. And sometimes, especially with Neptune in Aries, things can be really foggy for you and you're not sure what's happening. And when that occurs, just take time to be by yourself. You don't need to go out to the world and show anything unless you feel confident enough to show anything. Because a lot of backlash could happen right now with many, many people getting out of hand in terms of fighting for their country in such a way that it seems destructive, not constructive, right? And we're seeing a lot of that everywhere in the earth. So later on, Mercury in Leo is going to oppose Pluto in Aquarius, and then Pluto is going to sextile Saturn, and then the next day is going to sextile Neptune. So just as I was speaking, is that this is a triangle configuration, and the base of that configuration is Saturn and Pluto, Neptune and Pluto, the three most powerful outer planets that shape generations to come. And Pluto trying to change our minds as it's in an air sign, Aquarius, but Pluto is sextiling Saturn and Neptune. So Saturn and Neptune, respectively, are in Aries, and these are the three biggest outer planets that rule over generations and generations to come. So with Mercury here in Leo, our ego, the way we think, the way we feel, is really going to clash with Pluto. And so here we are going to be dealing with internal struggles and collectively internal struggles in terms of how do we change what we think, and how do we change the Leo fixed ways with Pluto in a fixed sign of Aquarius and Saturn and Neptune in the cardinal sign of Aries. So here, Aries is a cardinal sign, therefore Saturn and Neptune are leading the beginning of the change between Pisces and in terms of Aquarius time periods that are happening right now. So right now we're in the midst of Pisces and Aries, and how are we going to leave behind these structures and these dreams that we had that are structured by Saturn, but we're going to move into a very intense time where our mind has to change, and what it is we want has to also change because it's not conducive to what's happening with the Earth's heating, the way we use electricity, the way we use power, the way the power grabs are happening. We're dealing with thousands and thousands of years of hatred and prejudice that we can't seem to let go of. So we're dealing with all these things during this time, and it's going to get very, very intense into 2026. So this is a preview. Again, we've spoken about this. This is a preview of what will be occurring in 2026. And we're going to have some time to think about as Mercury prepares for retrograde. Neptune will be retrograding, and Saturn will be retrograding. And Pluto's already retrograde in Aquarius. So we have this energy coming in to where pretty soon we're going to get a little break, a little time out to think before the action really happens in February 2026 all the way through till April 2026. And then this happening, we're going to really feel it intensely until these planets go retrograde. And remember, when they go retrograde, they're even more powerful. So the change is more powerful this year. If we can act on these changes, maybe next year won't lead to World War III. Maybe no one will drop a nuclear bomb on each other. Because again, nuclear power is here with Aquarius, Pluto and Aquarius. This was exactly when the nuclear bomb became a reality during World War II that was dropped on Hiroshima, Japan. And 2 bombs were dropped, actually, not just one. So we are dealing now with a chance to review, revise, and hopefully come to the conclusion that, hey, we don't need to kill each other anymore. There's no need for it. Let's get together and help with food, with love, with empathy. This is what we can change, and we have the power to do that coming up with the retrograde. Because again, the planets are much more powerful. They're giving us a break, giving us a chance to look at what's going on, right? Just like a trailer for a movie. Here's your trailer coming up the next 3 months. All the way, well, actually all the way until February. By the end of this July, all these planets will be retrograde, and this would be our preview where we can look and think back as Mercury's are getting ready to retrograde, we'll get to think back. And it's going to retrograde in Leo and stay there all month in Leo. All of July, Mercury will be taking a nap in Leo. So we really have a chance again, personally, intrinsically, to start to revise how we think, how we play with each other. Maybe we don't have to be so nasty and say the nastiest things to each other. And maybe we come out of our shell, which is Cancer season, with Jupiter helping Cancer. Maybe you come out of our shell and actually try to see that the changes are coming, and maybe we can start to heal ourselves and our neighborhoods and all these things that need healing. And my neighborhood is healing. And then on June 30th, Uranus is at the end of time in Taurus at 29 degrees. So as Uranus hangs out here at this very volatile tears, the degree of tears, 29 degrees, where I was born, and I say I like to cry and release my pain through crying. It really helps sometimes to just watch a show or a movie that I know could make me cry, and it makes me feel better. It's like squeezing my sponge, and it really works, especially during this Cancer season. Feel welcome to let those emotions come in and ride it out, and use the emotional intelligence of Cancer with Jupiter here to enhancing that, to really reach into your unconsciousness and to see how you can heal yourself. So again, with Uranus hanging out here at the degree of tears in Taurus, it is preparing to shift into Gemini. And this is the biggest transit we're waiting for, because Uranus again is another giant predictor of the collective and how the collective handles surprising things, things that just come up that are innovative. With it here, the degree of tears, the prediction is such that July 5th, 2 days before Uranus shifts into Gemini, is when a lot of predictions is that there's going to be a volcanic eruption in the Pacific Ocean, the Ring of Fire. The winds of change, which look like two dragons coming in, will meet up around the bottom part, the southern part of Japan. And that's where they think the tsunami will occur. And when they say tsunami, they mean an earthquake underneath the water due to volcanic activity. And then the earth shifts underneath. And when that happens, the water gets completely, again, Uranus. Surprisingly, big giant waves will occur. The way the seismic shifts are going, especially check out Stefan Burns' page on YouTube. The way things are going, the magnetic core of the sun is also really powerful right now. There's like 3 or 4 volcanoes that are active right now on Earth, not in the water. So all these things are really suggesting, in terms of the Earth itself, is power plays, power struggles, as Rick Levine would say. In terms of the volcano, the Earth breaking apart and then causing tsunami, and then the waves start to come. This is a power struggle. This is an earthly power struggle between the Earth and the hot lava, which is as we head into Leo season at the end of this month, and Uranus moving on July 7th, 7/7, and so by the time it moves to July 8th, the 8th is really the powerful number in terms of it is a huge number out in the world in terms of it's the number of the Leo, the number of structures that are made by men. And this is occurring almost 2 weeks before Leo season occurs. So that's why July is considered one of the most volatile in terms of changes, in terms of how we are going to deal with our emotions. As our emotions become heated up and a tsunami could occur. So really be careful and try to minimize your personal image in the world, because a lot of things are happening to a lot of people in terms of what you say, what you do now could come back to haunt you a lot in terms of karmic energy, with the sun in a karmic area of the mother, Gaia. And so Gaia could be also releasing her pent up pain that she's been dealing with for a long time in terms of human destruction of Earth. And I heard that I saw that they are writing a law to allow asbestos to be used again in buildings. And asbestos is like an insulation thing, and it's known to cause cancer when you breathe it in, when you're exposed to it for long term. And the Trump administration has amended that law against asbestos being used, and now it's going to be used again. And so we are dealing with powers that are greedy, that don't care about you as a human. The government isn't protecting you any longer. It's not helping with food aid for a lot of countries that need it. They're not helping children that might be starving to no fault of their own. So we're dealing with so many things right now that it will get very heated in July. Besides the earth heating up in July, we all will also be heating up in July in terms of our emotional, our thoughts, our actions. And every time something enters Leo, remember it opposes Pluto. So here we go. I hope you guys are prepared for this week as we enter into July, because whatever is going on, get your ducks in a row before Mercury takes a nap, and then before Neptune and Saturn take their nap. And I'll be talking more about that in the next video. So now we head into July 1st, and Saturn will conjunct Neptune. Well, almost, but they're very close. So Saturn's going to conjunct Neptune, and this is when we'll begin to feel the lies that have been perpetuating around the world for as long as we can remember, since we've been alive. So we're going to start to really break those lies apart and really look into them and say, whoa, who's lying to us? And there's going to be, with Saturn and Neptune conjuncting in Aries, there's probably going to be a change in leadership. There's going to be government changes. There's going to be a rise of disliking the cookie cutter world that we live in, where we're all starting to look the same hair color. We all wear a certain style of clothes that, everyone else wears. We're going to deconstruct a lot of those myths about needing to look alike because of the age of Aquarius coming in. Aquarius usually represents people that are odd or on their own path and don't look like other people. And those people in Aquarius could feel sometimes like they're oddballs, so they want to conform. We'll start to see that people will gravitate towards being more individuals, wearing what they want to wear, not looking to the fashion styles and saying, well, I need to look like this and look like that, and this is how I look. If I wear this, people think this about me. If I wear that, people think this about me. So all that is really going to be up for grabs as Saturn and Neptune are in Aries, where the individual really rules our own sovereignty, who we are. We're all unique. We need to show that we're unique and not blend in with other people, because that's how we lose our sense of confidence and our ability in ourselves. And you can see it happening on the internet with children especially. There's nothing wrong with trending hairstyles or trending trending colors, trending shirts, trending fashions. Because trends go and come, they don't stay. But when you have certain things where this is what you wear to school, this is your school uniform, these are the things that we're trying to change in the future, is that not to all be the same as Saturn would like you to be in Capricorn, where everything remains the same. The same with the moon in Cancer, where everything remains the same because it's tradition. Is this how it's always been done? This is the books we read. This is the school. These are the school days. These are the school hours. All these things are up for grab in this new transition between the Neptune period into the Aquarius period. Because Neptune, again, is about love and global love, empathy, but it can be delusional. It can not see the falsehoods in people because of love. You could be blindsided by love, thinking this person's this way when they're actually not. So all these things are going to start dissolving, and we're really going to get rid of the victim consciousness, where everything that's happening to us is because of somebody else. That again is a facade. That's where Neptune comes in. Neptune can see the facade, can be the facade. So with Saturn with Neptune, for a while now, they've been traveling together for about 2 or 4 years now. With this happening, things are starting to dissolve. We're starting to see the administration right now that's in charge of USA is a facade, and you have to have empathy and learn. Doesn't matter how much money you have, you can't put it in your coffin, and it's not going to help your soul to move on. The only thing that will help your soul to move on is being a genuinely good person that cares for other people, cares for children, not just your children, not just the children you're paid to watch. So these are things that are very, very powerful as we move into the age of Aquarius, because again, the machines are coming. And if you think that being rich and being able to buy a robot, being able to buy a flying car is going to make your soul happier, it will not. So these are the things that are out in the world that are delusional, that Neptune sees. And if you're a true Pisces person, you can see the facade, because Pisces people have a deep, deep connection to the underworld, to what's down there, and also up in heaven. It took me some time to lean into my moon to see the facade, because love isn't about abuse. It isn't about always getting your way. It is a unconditional love that truly emanates from your unconsciousness to your consciousness. And that is the only way forward in this world we're living in right now, is to not only be thinking about yourself, because that's been going on long enough during the age of Aries, which came a war, and then the age of Pisces, which came along with delusion. And were you able to see through the illusion, or are you a victim? Because whatever those religions are, they're there to help you see something that you need to see, not so much something that you need to do to save your soul. Because you can only save your soul. Only you know what your soul needs saving from, right? So that's where we're at in July 1st. July is coming in hot and heavy, as it is the season of Cancer and Leo, of the mother to the baby. Because Leo is really the baby that lives from its heart. Cancer is about the mother, about nurturing, about family. It's about the mom. The baby is Leo. Leo is the baby that realizes who they are and uses their heart to share that with other people. And then Virgo is the baby who's starting to become aware, using their mind, using their reasoning, to objectively see what it is they need to do with their food in order to grow bigger, stronger, and healthier. And then we get into Libra, where we start to go to preschool and kindergarten, and we interact with our families and other people. And then we get into Scorpio. And now we're going to deal with sadness possibly that happens from the world, because it is a fixed water sign. So it's a very emotional water sign ruled by Mars and Pluto. So as a child growing up, you're going to have to deal with maybe your grandparents passing away, which is Pluto, death. And then Mars, what is your action from your emotions? How will you use your action from your emotions? Are you emotionally secure? And then Sagittarius comes. That's when you start to become freer, get a driver's license, so you can explore the world, see what's going on, graduate from college. Because Sagittarius is a fire mutable sign, so you start to learn and travel and see the world and use that fire energy to observe and journey and be proud of who you are. Then you get to Capricorn, and that's when you start getting older and you have to get a job. Start taking care of yourself. Thinking about having a family so you're not alone. So you can have your own little family you can go home and talk to and have your little kids hug you the way you wanted to be hugged when you were little. And then we get into Aquarius, and now we're thinking about the big picture. How does my family fit into this community of people? How do I navigate this with an fixed air sign? So your mind is fixed on learning how to be in the world, how to communicate. And then you get to Neptune, when your years are getting older, and now you might have reached you were dreaming for retirement, grandchildren, retirement years of peace, living where you want to live, doing what you want to do. And then it starts again with Aries. Now you have a grandchild in Aries. Now you got to deal with how that grandchild acts, and how does that grandchild represent what you've been teaching yourself since the Cancer season with your mom. Then you head into Taurus. Now the baby is going to need a home, more stability. Your grandchildren, you want your grandchildren to have that stability, that legacy that comes from your own children to your grandchildren. Then you get to Gemini, and now you're going to have that little grandbaby be like your twin, because it skips a generation, right? Everything. So now you have your grandchild who's like your twin, or your husband's twin, or your son's twin, or your daughter-in-law's twin, or your other children's twin, full of information, full of lightheartedness, because it is a mutable air sign. So now you're going to deal with multiple levels of society, because now grandchildren, you're going to have to start again with new things that the grandchild's doing that wasn't available when you were a baby, or your children were a baby. And then you get back again to the loving mother in Cancer. So this is the cycle of life. And where do you fit into that? If you need a chart reading, please contact me, write me a note. I'll be glad to go over your birth chart with you. And I can help you through my destiny cards. Also, I can help you untangle what you thought was true from your parents, from society, and I can help you with all these little tiny growth spurts that you're going to go through. But of course, they're not tiny or small. All these things we're talking about, this is our life. This is about the air we breathe, the thoughts we put in our brain, the love that we want to have and emanate and share with others. So this is a very powerful month in July. It is the most powerful month in terms of the outer planets beginning to take a nap and Uranus heading into Gemini. So I can't reiterate enough how June was like a preparation, and then July comes in, and it is a time to look at the trailer for the movie of the future, because it's coming and it's been being filmed. It's now just getting edited during this time. We will be editing the film of our life this coming up end of the year for us. So we are looking way into February of next year when all the outer planets will be moving forward. And now we're going to get to see the real movies start to occur. So now we're at July 3rd, and Uranus is still at the tiers of degrees, the 29 degrees of Uranus, and it's going to be having a trine to Pluto. So it's close enough in terms of it can have a nice trine to Pluto in Aquarius. So again, this is a preview of when it truly moves into Gemini. What does this mean? Uranus again is the shock jock. It rules over Aquarius. It is about humanity's changes through life and humanity's changes that happen quickly, that it shocks you like a tsunami. So these are things that will be very prevalent beginning in July, and this is why July is the most volatile month of this year, because of Uranus moving into Gemini. And Gemini, again, is the twins. It is a mutable air sign that's full of communication, but it is the sign of the twins in terms of there's two sides to everything that happens in Gemini. And it is a quick thinker. It is a quick moving area of our charts. It is my midhaven. It is about communication. It is about reporting. It is about sharing knowledge, just like Sagittarius with Jupiter that rules over it. It's about learning. So with this occurring, it's a nice, this trine, we will be having an easier time of dealing with these quick changes because our minds will be able to grasp it a little bit better with Gemini here. And again, Jupiter is still in Cancer, and it's really expanding what it is we want and need out of home and hearth. According to Evan Nathaniel Grimm, during this month of July with Jupiter in Cancer, the Cancerian month is very highlighted, right? Since the 20th of June. He believes there's going to be more pregnancies, more births, especially for Cancers and Pisces people. There'll be more marriages. There's also going to be fertility coming up into the universe. So all these things are going to change in terms of there'll be less institutional involvement. There'll be more natural births where you give birth to a baby through the water. We sit in a bathtub and give a natural birth. A lot of people are holding off on when to give birth. There's a lot of things happening here beneath the surface. Again, Cancer water. Beneath the surface with Jupiter coming in, that there should be more healing for mothers and babies. There should be more natural births occurring. And it should really be the midwife helping you. I can see this really happening with July coming in with Jupiter there. I think that it's a good idea to go natural, So I'm very grateful every day for what I've been given. Right now, in the time of Cancer, with Jupiter here, a lot of things are being exposed. And the Cancer new moon really is, Mother Gaia really is trying to help us to go back to being natural so that we can remember more of our unconsciousness about how things used to be during the age of Atlantis. It's really a confusing time if you're not conscious of your choices, of the words you use, of the things you eat, of the way you expend your energy. It's going to get very confusing and much more crazier in July, especially as we head into Leo season. The sun opposes Aquarius. And the new moon coming up in Leo is going to be a doozy in terms of what the universe is going to show us in this month of July. It's going to be very eye-opening. And thank God that there's some retrograde periods coming up so we can use the power of the planets as they sit still so that we can also sit still and come to terms with who we are and learn to love ourselves as humans. So priorities need to change in terms of what we value and what we want. And this is our chance in July. Stand in your sovereignty. Standing in your sovereignty, which Leo represents, means that you know that spiritually is being a kind-hearted person. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to do well, to do good, to make money. There's nothing wrong with that. but everyone has a right to their opinions. And so that's where we're at, is where are you at? How do you feel about yourself? Okay? So I'll be back next week as July truly heads in. July 4th I'll be here. Happy July 4th. Hopefully I'll get that out on time next Friday. We'll see how that goes. I really appreciate you, and I really appreciate all my spiritual children out there in the world. I think you guys are getting it, and you're really able to love other people, and you're really able to stand up for your rights and stand in your sovereignty, because you just need yourself to be strong in love, and then you can go out in the world and find others who are strong and are love themselves. Then you can share your love together. So I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate my new followers on YouTube, and on Twitter, and on Instagram. I appreciate you guys, and I hope to see you next week on July 4th. I hope you guys will keep watching. Please like, please subscribe. So thank you very, very much. Lots of love and peace. See you next week.